Well, hello. Well, welcome to my channel. For those of you that are watching live, hello to all the people watching the replay. My name is Jo, and we are having a KJ free night. Yay! So let's get down and let's enjoy it. Yes, Rick said I cut my hair. Yes, I did cut my hair. I did. Kim, I'm so sorry. I think it does sound so painful. Oh, you've got a line for medication. I'm so sorry that you're in so much pain. Yeah, so I had my hair done today. It gets to a certain length and I go, no, I can't have it. Can't do it anymore. So I hope you are all well. Logged off yesterday and I got a few messages. So apparently they tell you that you make it in this business when people start making videos about you. Yes, that is right. There is somebody that has taken a liking to me and has started to make videos about me. She sits there and she's been reviewing some of my videos that I've done on KJ. And apparently I'm too harsh on KJ. So there you go. So it's a very interesting to be on that side. I've actually just locked my Twitter down again because I've had some retweets. I've been taking some retweets. So I thought, you know what, we're just gonna lock everything down again. So anyway, hello everybody. Hello, Jane. So yes, so thank you for all of those that messaged me and told me that there were videos about me. Yes, I know about them. I have actually had a few people. I've had a few people look at the videos to try and work out what they're about, and so far I'm confused. So anyway, that's okay. It's really interesting though, seeing your picture in somebody else's thumbnail. So yes. Windows says, I don't think you or anyone in your chat are attaching some. Well, you know what? I was listed in the top five problematic YouTubers, along with KJ, James Charles, and Sloan. Oh, and the Dead Podcast Challenge. So, I'm in the. Did you get? No, I didn't get a crown. So I'm a problematic YouTuber. So I actually in the response to the tweet, I actually thanked her. I said, thank you for putting me on your list. I guess I've made it. So anyway. Oh, yes, I did forget Adam McIntyre. Michelle says I forgot Adam McIntyre. Yes, Adam McIntyre was there. Hey, I you know what? To be perfectly honest with you, Michelle, to be perfectly honest with you, Michelle, I only looked for myself. I don't really know who else was in it. I know. I'm taking it as a compliment. And there wasn't a lot. Apparently, I am better than the rest of them. So I'll take that. Thank you, everybody. Now, the other thing is Harrison wants me to tell you thank you, because he actually came home really upset because he didn't do very good in his athletics carnival. He said he lost, and I said, well, did you have fun? Yes. Did you do your best? Yes. And I said, well, then you're a winner. And then so I screenshotted all the messages that you sent him, and he read them and it cheered him up. So thank you. No, Dad's podcast was also problematic. He didn't call me problematic. So the latest accusation is that I'm a liar that everybody likes. So KJ's the liar that everybody hates, and I'm the liar that everybody likes. So I'm waiting to find out what I've lied about. So I don't know. All right. So I thought we might do a KJ free night tonight. And so Jane wants to know who else made the list. Anna McIntyre, Sloan, KJ, the Podcast Challenge, and James Charles. So they were the list. Not that I'm aware of, Kim. I haven't heard. Well, that's right, Wind Whispers. But yes, he was very excited to read his messages. So it really cheered him up, which is why he did it. So our crazy Aussie chick, AK Joe, who is really a likable lie, I know. I can lie straight in bed though. Oh, where did the list come from? It's somebody's opinion. Oh, I don't really want to. Yeah, there was 25 subs. There's 20. I think there's 29 subs now, Michelle. So, yeah. Oh, Froze overthinks she's covered everybody. Hello. So everybody that I owe parcels to, they've been sent, except half Froze over. I'm still waiting for your stuff to come to me. And then everybody else has been sent. Boy, it's expensive to send overseas. And the other thing is that everything has to be tracked. You can't do untracked shipping anymore. So everything is tracked. So at least we know it's going to get there. Though something was funny. On one of the parcels there, I said, oh, she said, what's in that? And I went, there's a bath bomb. And she goes, oh, I don't know that I can put the word bomb on the parcel. And I said, why not? I said, well, put bath fizzer, bath dissolver. And she goes, no, we'll put bomb on it. We'll see what it says. I said, well, it might get delivered really quickly because it's got a bomb in it. Oh, boy. Don't know how to clash you because you're so polite. Oh, thank you, Jane. Yeah, I know. But anyway, so I wanted to look at more into the so I was something came up in my newsfeed before about the Porter case and the ABC case, because they've just named who is that the ABC have just put on an attorney that, and I don't think the ABC is reporting it, but I heard or I read that the defamation lawyer that worked on Rebel Wilson's defamation case is the lawyer that is going to represent the Australian Broadcasting Corporation in their case. Sorry, yeah. Here we go. Oh, yeah, Sydney Morning Herald's reported it. So this is the article that I've just, Rick's finally up the corner. Well, he can make the drinks then. All right. So this has just come up. So I just found this out. And most of these names won't mean any to you for a lot of you. What on earth? Why is nothing working for me today? There we go. It says former Solicitor General to defend ABC fight with Christian Porter. So, yes, and they're going to now try and make me pay. Says which includes, he's a Solicitor General, so he was right up there and he's going to add Victorian defamation barrister Renee Embim, who acted for Rebel Wilson, and Sydney barrister Clarissa Amato, who is well versed in acting for media defendants, including Nine and the ABC. So they will be overseen by the in-house lawyer, Grant McInvaney, the head of Broadcasters Disputes and Litigation. And the ABC has just over 6 weeks to file its written defence to the lawsuit, and the court appears to be fast-tracking the case, which was filed on Monday, this is what I said. They're reporting this, but I reported it yesterday. I'd just like you to all note that. The preliminary hearing is set for May 14. So the Solicitor General, it says, gives independent legal advice on matters of national significance and is the government's most senior legal advisor after the Attorney General. It's not political. So the Attorney General is a political role. The Solicitor General is not. So he is pretty powerful. So the ABC is using a former Solicitor General to help them. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Oops. What's going to happen with that one. But what I thought we'd do tonight is I thought we'd look at the case of Melissa Caddick. And I need to apologise. I put Caddick on everything, and I only realised it before. She did kick some serious butt, hell phrase over. So I'm interested to see whether this is this, because I don't think at this stage, I don't think Porter's claim actually has merit, because everybody that I've spoken to has not been able to, did not work out who it was. But yes, I break the story. No, I didn't break. I break the story. That'd be nice. I wasn't sure whether it had legs or not, and either this is going to be settled out of court pretty quickly, or if I was the ABC, I'd take it and see how far I could get it to go, because it's going to be interesting, because it was a news story, and you know, they were reporting news, and I don't see anything that they said that was defamatory. If people worked it out, people worked it out. Hey, I didn't realise Porter was younger than what he was. I thought he was older. So there you go. I never crossed my mind. But anyway. All right. So let's look at Melissa Caddick. So we just need to... You thought he was named? He wasn't named initially. He was named... I believe they narrowed it down to 3. I believe they narrowed it down to 3. Has anyone got the membership link handy? Please. Talk him. And then apparently once they got to 3, it got worked out. So, but not initially. The initial story didn't have anything in it. So, okay. So this is a story from, I'm going to just do a really quick recap on this Melissa Caddick story, because I want to show you some of the court stuff, because there's quite a few things in here, because even though she's missing, the courts is still churning on. Oh, look, we've got it twice. Woohoo! We've got it twice. Yes, and I do have 2 names listed on there. Thank you, everybody. Oh, well, thank you, Kim. All right, so I'm just going to use Yahoo, which is they've got a very interesting Bloom Room. I thought her body was found. No, not as far as I am aware. Her body has been found. They've only found a foot, as far as I know. I was just having a look to see what else, and I was just reading the news stories. The latest news story tells that the husband's been out and about since. Thank you, Julianne. Her husband's been out and about for the first time since she in weeks since they found the foot. They've only still found the foot. Oh, welcome, Kim. Thank you for becoming a member. Wow. So, but the interesting thing that the Yahoo story's got, and this is why I've gone for this story, is because when they went, Michelle's correct, they're arguing whether she's still alive or not. So some people are saying, well, she's alive somewhere. The father-in-law has said, hang on, I've just got to, for me to pin up, I've just got to get out of here. The father-in-law has said he thinks she's still alive. The police are saying it's possible that she's not still alive. So she's been missing since November. So she's been missing since November 2020. But what this Yahoo story has stated is that when they went to do an inspection of the property, only 15 of the 19 artworks listed on the contents insurance is actually in the house. There's 3 bits of artwork missing, and they're valued like they're worth around $20,000 to $30,000. So there's artwork missing. So they're saying includes 2 art by Israeli artist David Gersten and by Australian artist Adrian Lockhart. So what happened is that it was revealed under investigation that she had misappropriated $25 million worth of investor funds. And they lived a rather lavish lifestyle. They discovered that $750,000 was spent on high-end fashion using credit cards, a shopping spree of $250,000 at Dior, $200,000 on holidays, including a trip to New York. And then on February 21, they found a foot. They found a foot. Oh, yay. So, and it was 400 kilometers south of where they live. But she went missing on the 12th of November when they went to execute a search warrant on the house. And they've traced it back for 7 years. 7 years they've traced it back. So they did find remains. So this is from the 5th, but they have ruled those out. Yeah, in her expensive sneaker, Michelle. And it says, police say to the condition of the foot, she may not have died immediately after her disappearance. So at the moment, Melissa Caddick has done a Harold Holt. She's disappeared without a trace. All we've got is a foot. There's still, they've at least got a foot. Still don't know what happened to Harold Holt. We've only got speculation. Okay, so what happens with the Australian Federal Court? They made such a big deal over the shoe they did, didn't they? Poor Harold, yes. Oh, you're trying to catch up, not a fan of KJ. Cool. So, yes, so for those of you that were with us when we discussed Harold Holt, when you say that they've done a Harold Holt, they've disappeared. I don't have any sneakers. I'm sneakerless. And now they're saying bones of a dog. They are. You can sit at the cool kids table. I hope you liked the video I did of the lolly aisle today. And you know those mint Tim Tams that I purchased? Well, I left them out on the bench and there are none left. I'm assuming that the mouse that looks like my son enjoyed them. Like, why did she deceive her family and friends and family, says Billingham? That's a very good question. That's what they've got to find out. But ASIC is still going ahead with their investigation, and there's lots of stuff going on. Harold and Melissa are together, probably in the same sub. They're probably in Russia somewhere. You're having issues? Yeah. A missing foot. It's weird. Why the foot? That is the question, Wind Whispers. No idea. A foot was washed up 400 kilometres from away. Yes, mint Tim Tams. In Coles, by the way. Coles. Confession. Oh, you don't like Tim Tams? No, I'm not really. I'm not really a. When I say I'm not really a sweet tooth, I'm not really a biscuit person. I'm more of a chocolate person. But yeah, money will make you do weird things. So here we go. So with the Australian Federal Court, so anything that, so it says here, access to court files, public interest case. So anything that is deemed a public interest is listed here. So here is all the stuff that has been deemed public interest here. So we're fortunate because we've got 2 public interest cases. We've got these 2. So where it's public interest, they actually make all the documentation available for the general public because it's public interest, of course. Now, what it says that if they're placed on the online file, documents will be placed on the online file when they're considered by both the court and the parties to be publicly accessible. Unrestricted documents such as originating process are readily available. In particular, affidavits read and documents tendered in proceeding with appropriate redactions may be placed on the online file. The court has made orders prohibiting the disclosure and publication of any redacted information in these documents. So what they've done is anything that they deem not appropriate for public, they have not allowed you to do it. So there's lots here that we can't access. But what we can access, they've actually redacted everything. This is what the court's done. The court has redacted the information. So they've taken out all the public information. So everything is that's here is available, is allowed to be publicly accessed and discussed because it's the court's vetted it. Drown, there'll be a feet, live in WA and lots of feet wash up on the beaches. Wow, Miss Jess, a lot of feet wash up. Oh. Oh, Blue Moon, I know. It is actually a cute name, isn't it? Paid for it. Oh, well, yeah, there's lots of different theories around over that foot. No, okay, cool. Yeah, and it's mint slices. That's what it actually tastes like. There are lots of theories out. Like if I'm just gonna do a Google search here. So it says Melissa Caddick's husband has been seen for the first time since her foot was washed up. Melissa could be alive and in hiding, says father-in-law. There's another theory. So New South Wales most likely dead. A forensic psychologist thinks that she was murdered. So already there is lots of theories going around. So well, they could go without a foot. So yeah, so there's lots of different stuff. For her time to afford her own, for parents, family, and friends, it's quite diabolical. I watched the father-in-law's interview. My heart bleeds for his son. Yeah, so you've watched more than me, Christian, though, because I haven't watched a lot of it. A lot of forensic experts have said they don't believe she's dead because of the foot. Well, it looks like that the way it was cut, she could still be alive. Dry, divided opinions. Yes, there is lots of divided opinions. Yes, they did approve Wind Whispers. Have they even managed to prove it so far? Yes, they did through DNA. So the only thing that we know is that that is her foot. So let's look at some of this documentation. Okay. Oh, US. Okay. Must be easy to amputate and just throw them in the ocean. Lots of feet wash up. Okay. So remember that's all. So she went missing in November, and all of this has happened since she's not been here. So I thought we might start and look at the originating process, and have a look at what ASIC's got to say. Yeah, it was animal bones, I believe. So let's look at this. So remember, everything has been vetted by the court and is able to be shared because it's been listed as public knowledge, because there is bank accounts listed on here, and they've not redacted them. But everything else, like addresses and all that, they've redacted. So I actually did make contact with the court to say, hey, can I do this? And they said yes, if it's on here. So that's what I'm doing. So remember, with our federal court, they have to have this cover sheet on every page because it's an e-file. As an armchair forensic expert, I'm going with alive with 1 foot. You got a lot of debris from Japan? Wow. And right, so remember, so that's our front cover sheet. There's a lot for that. As far as this is something I don't have to pay for, Michelle, yes. So this is just under public interest cases under the Federal Court of Australia. So yeah. All right. So this is against ASIC, which is the Australian Securities and Investments Commission, and Melissa Caddick. So this is this is 14 pages long. Okay, so this is all about finance. Now, first of all, I know nothing about financial stuff, and I'm not a lawyer. I need to put those disclaimers out there. Okay. So this application, but as you can see, it's very easy to read. This application is made under Section 1323 of the Corporations Act 2001, and it's a Commonwealth Act. I could register. You can register if you know the case number. You can get the documents, but yeah, as I said, they've just given these for free. So, and sections 21, 23, 37 AF 1A and B and 37 AG 1A of the Federal Court of Australia Act 1974, Commonwealth FCA Act. I'm sorry, guys, but I still can't figure out why the foot has been stuck on it. Yeah, I don't know why either, Wind Whispers. Dead or alive, I hope she's found. Australia is very strict with people's privacy, yes. And if you notice, like even with the Porter stuff, there was no addresses on there, and it's only got the lawyers' addresses and stuff. But you'll see when we go through some of the affidavits, the court actually redacts all the information, which is just fascinating that the court will actually do that. The nature of the proceeding is an application for orders, A, relating to the property of the first and second defendants, including for asset preservation orders against the first and second defendants. So we've got a company. So you can see a company. Okay, and yeah, so a company. A lot of things, yeah, a lot of people think a shark may have taken it. Unless a shark, I do, Kim. All right. So they want orders in relation to the property of the first and second defendants, including for asset preservation orders for the first and second defendant under S1323 of the Act, and or for the appointment of a receiver and a manager to the property of the first and second defendants. Requiring the first defendant to deliver up her passport to the court, prohibiting the first defendant from leaving Australia without the consent of the court, and provision of information from the first and second defendants as to their financial affairs. Now, remember, this has all happened after she's gone missing. And E, suppression or non-publication orders. I wonder if the cut in the foot was clean, because I don't think it would be detached by a shark attack. I'm not sure. Not sure, Kim. The police have just said that it looked like that it would not have killed her. So she could have been still alive. For the purposes of this application, property means all or property, personal property, assets or interests in the property of any kind within Australia, including by virtue of subsection 13232A of the Act, and any property held otherwise as the sole beneficial owner. Third party means a person other than the first or second defendant or plaintiff. Now, I can tell you that all of the assets are frozen at the moment, and I know that her husband, because there is a child involved, has had to, and I'm not sure whether it's a receiver or something, but he was asking for money so he could pay for the son's school fees, I think. So they were looking at provisions for that, but I don't think that information is in this court stuff because it's private. So a lot of that private stuff won't be here. It'll be mainly mainly all the company stuff, not the stuff to do with her. Okay, so on the facts stated in the supporting affidavits, including the affidavit of Isabella Lucy Allen, affirmed on the 9th of November 2020, which we didn't get access, and the affidavit of Isabella on the 9th of November, suppression, so see it's suppressed, and the plaintiff claims the following orders. Leave to file this originating process in court. In the first instance, service of this originating process be dispensed with, and originating process be returnable immediately. Time for this service of this originating process with supporting affidavits be abridged to 5 p.m. 11th of November 2020. All right, and then anyone served or notified of the orders may apply to the court to vary or discharge them, or may of them as affects the person served notified, giving reasonable notice. Yeah, just went silent. Yeah, it went silent, like there's nothing. So what they're saying is that and then all of this bit is that they're suppressing a whole pile of information, which is what they're going to do. So that was that one. And that was a draft. All right, so now we're doing an order. So there was an order on the 10th of November. Oh, look, the same justice. It's the same person. The same justice is doing the other one. So this was to Melissa Caddick. So this is a penal notice. A penal notice. I don't think I've ever seen a penal notice. I shouldn't laugh. This is serious, but a penal notice. It shows you, though, how sometimes law uses, quite interesting language. So this is Melissa Caddick and Malava Proprietary Limited. If you refuse or neglect to do any act within the time specified in this order for doing the act, or disobey the order by doing an act which the order requires you to abstain from doing, you'll be liable to imprisonment, sequestration, or property or other punishment. Poppy says, I never realized penal was a funny term. Probably isn't, Poppy, but thank goodness I said it properly. Well, thank you. I looked at it and I went, all right. Any other person who knows of this order and does anything which helps or permits you to breach the terms of this order may be similarly punished. Now, the interesting thing is it's all in capitals. It's in capitals and it's bolded, but I've never seen one of these before. So this has me very interested. So So remember, she went missing on the 21st of November. So this is the 10th of November. So this is before she went missing. This is an order made against you on the 10th of November by Justice Jaggett at a hearing without notice to you after the court read the affidavit of Isabella Lucy Allen affirmed on the 9th of November, and the affidavit of Isabella Lucy Allen affirmed on the 9th of November. One was suppressed and one wasn't. That was, I was waiting for that, Rick. I was waiting for somebody to come up with that joke. Oh. All right, in this order, property, any abolished laws? I don't think so. Well, we're about to find out, Gail, because I actually haven't read it myself. We're doing the first reading, which is why I'm stumbling everywhere. Property means all real or personal property, assets, interests in property of any kind within Australia, including by virtual subsection the Corporations Act, any property held by self-beneficially owner. Third party means a person other than the first, second, or third plaintiff. So this now, yeah. So what they proposed to do is what the judge said. So they had to supporting affidavits by 5 p.m. the 11th of November. So that was the timetable there. Okay, so, and then he's got subject to paragraph 9, the first and second defendants swear and serve upon plaintiff an affidavit in the case of the first defendant disposing in detail to all matters there. I know. Now they get to the big words. Oh, hello, that Amber chick. Welcome back. So what they have to do, so what they're saying is that you need to give us the name and address of any bank, building society, or other financial institution which there is an account in the name of or under the control of the relevant defendant, together with the number of such account, the name of such account, and the balance of that account. Now, they were saying that there's only about $6,000 in all the bank accounts or something. So which I thought was which is really interesting. Yes, be safe, the Amber chick. He's made it his own. Oh, dear. The name and address of person indebted to the relevant defendant and the amount of the nature of the indebtedness. An itemized inventory of all property owned or controlled by the relevant defendant. So this is how they found out that there's property missing. Yeah, so 5,600 is all that's left. So then we've got any investment properties, anyone, all the details of all the people that invested with them. So this is what, so there was a lot of information that they wanted. The second defendant's financial statements for the year June 2020 or December 31, 2019. If they want to object to complying with the paragraph, they can, on the grounds that some or all information may disclose that they've committed an offence, liable to sit per civil penalty. Oh, Judge Jaggett's got all the cases right now. Yeah, well, the 3 paintings have gone. Oh, he's a very busy man then, hey? Oh, honourable, yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So that's all the stuff. So asset restraint. So now they've got, the judge has actually put, this is a freeze. So they're not allowed to remove, cause or permit to be removed from Australia any of their property, including funds from the bank account. They can't sell, charge, mortgage, or dispose of any property. They can't incur new liabilities on their credit cards. They can't sell any of their properties. So that's the phrase there. And so they've gone into here, and then there's the travel restriction, but they're not allowed to. The first defendant deliver up all passports in her name, which are in her possessions, custody control, and any tickets by 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time on 12th of November 2020 to be retained by the court for further notice. Does anyone know whether her passport was actually handed in? Because I went looking and I have not found anywhere to say that they actually had her passport. So she's actually got a trouble, so she can't leave the country. So all of this is to say she can't leave the country. So again, they've also said all motor vehicles, real estate, banks, yeah, so that's so they've given, so it says they have given orders to all the banks, all the building societies, security breaking firms, the border force and border police, anybody that they may deal with anything with. So they've all been notified. So that's that paragraph. All right. So that's okay. So now we've got redacted. We've got redacted affidavit. So that was the 10th of November. So up to the 25th of November. Now remember that she's now disappeared. Well, that's what a lot of people are saying. She's got a new life. All right. So on the 10th of November, she was ordered to hand in her passports and everything. They went for a search warrant and she disappeared. So let's have a look. So again, we've got our cover sheet. So, and you'll see it's all redacted. The judge has, it is confirmed as hers, Christophan always. So this is going to say, so it's all been redacted here. The son heard her leave, but the husband didn't. That's interesting, isn't it? So this Lucy, so this is 60 pages, people. So Lucy Allen is an investigator. So she's employed by ASIC. She's authorised to provide this on behalf of ASIC to update the court on the progress of the ASIC's investigation. So I read the affidavit of Thomas Connor, affirmed on 12th of November in the proceedings, and on 11th of November 2020, I was present at Melissa Caddick's residence, been redacted, where Mr. Connor served a copy of the court documents in these proceedings, including the orders of Honourable Justice Jagger of this court dated 10th of November. So check cashies, yes. Cash converters. It's a pawn shop, for those that don't know. All right. On the 11th of November, ASIC officers with the assistance of officers of the Australian Federal Police executed search warrants at the premise. So the bank, so they went to safety deposit boxes. On the 11th of November, while Miss Caddick's residence, Miss Caddick's residence conducting the warrant, I had a conversation with Miss Caddick regarding the orders. Miss Caddick asked me a number of questions in relation to the orders. She stated words to the effect, "When do I have to appear in court?" To which I replied with the words in effect, "As per Order 4, you are appeared to court on the 13th of November 2020 at 9:45 a.m. Miss Caddick then pointed to the address of the federal court. The footer asked me a question with these words: "Do I have to appear at this address tomorrow to deliver the passports?" I responded with the words, "I'm unsure of the address, but looking at the orders, that may be the address. A legal representative should be able to assist you. You have cash converters, cool. I don't know, Wind Whispers. I don't know what type of woman would leave her child behind and a foot. So she then pointed to Order 10C and said the words to the effect, does this mean I can't use credit cards? All day-to-day transactions are purchased on credit cards. I responded with the words to the effect, by using the credit card, you are incurring liabilities. However, you should speak to a lawyer if you have one. Ms. Caddick then stated the words to effect, am I to prepare a statement of assets and liabilities by the 16th of November? I responded with the words to effect, yes, you are to prepare a statement of assets and liabilities. Ms. Caddick then asked me with the words to the effect, how am I supposed to do that when you've taken my computers? By the way, for people with us overseas, if you have a look, see how there's signatures on each page? Every page of our affidavits have to be signed by the person that's swearing the affidavit and the witness that is witnessing the affidavit. This was the thing that really confused me about the stuff, the declarations or affidavits, whatever you wanted to call them, because they have to be every page has to be signed. See, you got the signatures. Every single page is actually signed. So they take a long time to do. So I don't. Hers is the 10th, is it? I think so. Yeah. I'd never heard the. Yeah. Yeah. So how much? Yeah. I responded with the phrase, I'm unsure how to answer that question, and it may be best to speak to a lawyer. Do you have a lawyer? Miss Caddick responded to the words with effect, no, I have no one to call. At the conclusion of the warrant at Miss Caddick's residence, the following electric devices were left in her possession. Next. An Apple Mac computer, Miss Caddick's iPhone, the husband's personal computer, and that looks like the son's personal computer. As detailed in paragraph 261, my main affidavit, Mr. Coletti is Miss Caddick's current partner. That on the 12th of November 2020, I sent an email, so taken out the email address. So great. Why does this do this to me? All right, here we go. So now we're going to talk about the disappearance, because now she's disappeared. All right. So she sent an email on the 12th and the 13th and the 13th. On the 13th of November 2020 at 9:45 a.m., so it looks like she's disappeared between the warrants being served. Oh. Oh, gee whiz, what's happened here? Looks like I found a new shopping place. Yeah. All right. This is not working for me. Why? Remember, she's now disappeared. Oh, all right. Let me just try this again. This is not working. Oh, here we go. It's working. All right. So I'm hoping, let me just make this a little bit bigger for you all. So on the 30th of November 2020 at 9:45, I attended a hearing in this matter conducted over Microsoft Teams. At the hearing, I observed the participant in Microsoft Teams meeting with the name Anthony K. On the 13th of November 2020, 10:09 a.m., Federal Agent Amelia Griffin of the Australian Federal Police contacted me and had told me she received a call from Mr. Coletti. Ms. Griffin told me that Mr. Coletti told her he believed his wife to be missing. On the 13th of November 2020 at 10:23 a.m., Mr. Caddick contacted me and had told me he believed his wife, Miss Caddick, had to be missing as he had not heard from her. On the 13th of November 2020, I received a call from Detective Sergeant Michael Cunha of Eastern Suburbs Local Area Command at Bondi, who told me Mr. Caddick had contacted them regarding the disappearance of his wife. Over the course of the next week, beginning the 16th of November, I reviewed various media articles concerning Miss Caddick's disappearance, including those published by the ABC News, Nine News, the Sydney Morning Herald and Daily Mail Australia on their respective websites. On the 25th of November 2020, I instructed investigator Steph Colburn to access the New South Wales Missing Persons Inquiry webpage and search for Melissa Caddick. Miss Colburn informed me that her search took her to a search result at the following URL. A PDF is of the website is annexed and marked IA9. So we always say annexed or attached. ASIC has assisted with all inquiries it has received from the New South Wales Police from the 13th of November 2020 to date of this affidavit and will continue to cooperate throughout the course of the New South Wales Police investigation into the disappearance of Mrs. Caddick. I want to know whether the passport was handed in. Who thinks the passport's been handed in? Or yes, the passport's been handed in. No, the passport has not been handed in. What do you reckon? No. You don't think so? She possibly could have left. All right. On the 13th of November, I sent a carbon copy of 2 emails sent by Ms. Kaufman to the New South Wales Registry of this court, annexed IA10. Is a copy of these emails. Ms. Kaufman inquired about whether Order 12 of the orders, which required Ms. Caddick to surrender her passport to the registry, or whether Order 14 had been complied with. Well, we're about to find out. You reckon she got a new passport? Interesting. She seemed to move quickly, didn't she? Like they were there on the 10th and by the 13th she was gone. Well, yes. Well, surely with overseas restrictions, would she be able to get out by boat, by ocean? Or did she borrow Harold Holt's submarine? I shouldn't make jokes about it. That will be on another video. I read she had a heads up. Money buyers and everything. All right. So a boat would feed the foot theory, Michelle. Yes, it would. On the 13th of November 2020, I received. All right. On the 16th of November, I was carbon copied into an email from Alexander Proudfoot, Associate to Honourable Justice Jaggert, to Miss Comfort, annexed and marked IA11 is a copy of the email. Miss Proudfoot confirmed that orders 12 and 14 had not been complied with. What we're saying is that there was a visit. So this is an affidavit by ASIC that they spoke to her on the 10th. They went and got some stuff on the 10th. On the 11th of November. And then on the 13th of November, she disappeared. So the passport was, so we know that, so according to this affidavit, the passport wasn't handed in. So on the 16th of November, I received a phone call from Detective Sergeant Kenya, and he said, I've got 5 Australian passports handed in by the husband in the name of Melissa Caddick. 5 Australian passports, 5 of them. So they were handed in to the police by the husband. I've got 5 Australian passports handed in by the husband in the name of Melissa Caddick. You reckon she would have been smart enough to get her own license? Well, that's possibly. I mean, she had the money to do it. On the 16th of November, 2020 at 5:18 p.m., I received an email from Jennifer Williamson, solicitor of Williamsons and Associates, annexed and marked IA12. There's a copy of the email. See, this is the stuff that the media doesn't necessarily report on. These are the court documents. This is the stuff that 5 passports. Well, it could, but that's still a lot. I mean, she was 49. She's 49. And they last 10 years? So she did travel a lot. She may have filled them up. That may be right too. Hell froze over. But anyway, on November 2020 at 12:35 p.m., ASIC Litigation Counsel Nicole Bearup sent an email to Ms. Williamson in which I have a carbon copy. Then there's a phone call, then another email. I don't know what's in these emails. It's the same email. 24th of November, another email. 24th of November, another email. 25th, I believe to be true, at 4:25 she reviewed the docket for this matter in this on the federal court portal. On the basis of the matters outlined in paragraphs 18 to 28 of this affidavit, it seems to date that Ms. Caddick and Malabar have not complied with orders 8, 12 and 14 of the orders. She could have had more. You're correct, Jane. So maybe we can solve this case, hey? Well, so since November 12, 2020, ASIC officers, including myself, Chief Investigator Brendan Howe, Ms. Coburn, have been in contact with approximately 21 consumers who claim they have paid money to Malabar for investment. Mr. Howe has informed me that the content of his discussions with investors, and I believe his accounts to be true, I believe that her parents were also were also investors of her as well. So far they found, according to this affidavit at this time, they found 21 people that had invested with her. I have not named the investors with whom ASIC have been in contact in this affidavit for the following reasons. They've not had the opportunity to have in-depth discussions. Several of the investors contacted appear to be distressed. Several appear to have personal relationships with Ms. Caddick, and there is now considerable media interest in the proceedings. It is my view that naming the investors in this affidavit would cause them undue embarrassment and harm and distress and expose them to unsolicited contact by the media, which I guess is true. Approximately 14 of the 21 investors contacted also provided information to ASIC through a dedicated email address. I have read the emails in the inbox up to the 25th of November. The information provided by ASIC by investors, either by telephone conversation or by email, states that 10 of the investors had not previously been specifically identified as potential consumers by ASIC during its investigation and are additional to the potential consumers identified in page 2020 of my main affidavit. 8 of the investors reported that they had contacted Commonwealth Securities Limited or share registries confirming accounts held that they thought were in their names, only to find out that they weren't. So imagine finding out that you're given some money to be invested and then you ring up to find out how much your shares were worth and to find out that you didn't have any shares. That would be horrifying. On November 20, I instructed Ms. Colburn to review the emails in the inbox. So then there was 14. She identified documents sent voluntarily by 14 investors, including some of the 7 that mentioned. So it looks like, yeah, well, that's right, Miss Jess. How do we know that there wasn't a 6th or a 7th or no? I mean, could she, were the parents born overseas and she's got an overseas passport? I guess that's really what we need to find out, isn't it? There's so many questions. So there was falsification of documents as well. So I suspect that some of the documents received by ASIC may have been falsified. 6 investors who invested with Melissa and Miss Caddick and anticipate he will represent 10 investors in total. So there's lawyers now. So they've got lawyers involved. They're going to represent the investors. He acts, and then there's another lawyer that acts for another 6 investors. So now they're talking about the assets and liabilities. So a number of physical electronic documents and other items were seized during warrants. The evidence seized includes a number of pieces of jewelry, watches, designer label clothing, accessories, and footwear. Some of the documents seized by ASIC involved valuation documents for jewelry and artworks. The valuation documents I reviewed indicate that some of the artwork are owned by Melissa and some are owned by Miss Caddick. ASIC has not undertaken a comparison of the jewelry seized during the warrants against the valuation dockets. It's worth it though. If a time comes in, I love having the basement out. So cool. Question 5. Yeah. Well, that's right, Michelle. A lot of this hasn't been reported by the media. And as I said, it's there. It's public interest. During the warrant executed at the Caddick's residence, Mr. Howard undertook a comparison of artworks on display with the valuation document found on site. From our review, we noted the artwork cited matched the valuation document. However, due to storage limitations at ASIC's Sydney office, the artworks were not seized. So they didn't seize them at that point, right? And then when they went back, according to that article, when they went back to get them, some had disappeared. I hope you guys are enjoying. Are you guys enjoying this? I hope you're enjoying this. I mean, this is only one affidavit. I mean, this is still back to this is a November affidavit. I mean, we haven't even got to the latest stuff yet. One of the physical documents seized during the warrant was Miss Caddick's residence. There's a copy of, and it's all been taken out. So it's obviously a property. 15 separately identified artworks, 48 separately identified pieces of jewelry, and there were 2 vehicles. So on the November 11th, I saw 2 vehicles parked. So there was a blue Audi and a black Mercedes. Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, I think it's 10 years. Yeah. Good. I'm glad you're liking it. I'm just going to take a drink because, this is amazing. So because they didn't have enough room, they couldn't pick up all the artwork. So what happened to those missing paintings? I'm informed by Ms. Kaufman and believe it to be true that on the 17th of November 2020, she spoke to Mr. Howe and spoke to Stefan, directors of Canturi Corporation, Ms. Caddick's jeweler at their offices. They told them that they are in possession of a necklace that Ms. Caddick had paid for but had not yet taken delivery of, with a value of about $100,000. $100,000 necklace. It has, yeah, there is $100,000. So she paid for it, but she hadn't picked it up. They also said that Miss Caddick told them that she had sold a property in New York and had lost money on the sale due to COVID. On the basis of information conveyed to Miss Kaufman and Mr. Howell, I believe there are additional valuable assets of Miss Caddick in Sydney and possibly in the USA. Whoa, it's gone to the USA. Whoops. Kind of uncomfortable jokes about solving the case of a woman who waiting for news. Sorry, Poppy. Sorry, Poppy. I don't know what happened to those paintings. But the thing is that the father-in-law believes that she's alive. There's people still thinking she's alive, so I don't know. But winding up an appointment, so they're looking at winding up the company and appointing the liquidator. So they were carrying on unlicensed financial service brokeraging. Melissa falsely holding out consumers as a license holder. Oh, no, that's all right. That's okay. And that's the thing is that but the case is still going on. And that's the thing that I'm interested in, is that the court case is still going on. I love you to talk about the case. Yes, I know. But like, you know, the 5 passports and the fact that there's paintings missing. And they're just talking about property in New York now. So, yeah. But anyway. Her misappropriation of consumer funds for her personal benefit, contrary to the purpose of which the funds were transferred. Yeah. And I think the husband still believes she's alive as well. So, so they're saying that there are documents that were false that were given to consumers. Several consumers were told that they made inquiries to find out that there was an account. And so they've asked for an independent person to examine the affairs to find out where all the money went. So, as I said, all affidavits, they have to be signed by the person and a witness. So we've got the signature of there and the witness. I would love for her to be alive. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. There is no proof that she's not alive, is there? The shoe was found to be the shoe was found to be hers. The shoe was found to be hers. But what was stated is that they believe that the way it was cut, she could possibly still be alive, because the police haven't come out and said they believe that she's not alive. They're still looking for a live person. Thank you, Dom. Hello. All right. So the other thing is that we do with our affidavits, which is different to what you guys do over there, is that each page has to be, each of the exhibits have to be signed. So this is the cover sheet, and it's been signed again. And to say, they actually say that it's been affirmed. So you actually also have to affirm your attachments. So you just can't attach stuff to an affidavit and say this is it. So that's the original documentation that they were talking about. That's what they wanted for the first bit. So that was that one. Oh, all the bank accounts. There was something like 17, 18 bank accounts too, by the way. So then here's the next one. See, they all signed. They've all got to be signed. Email, again, email address is redacted. Again, signed. Oh, that's all right, Gail. Signed. Again, web conference hearing. So here's the missing persons report. Missing persons inquiry here. So they believe that she left her house at 5:30 a.m. on the 12th of November, possibly wearing black singlet, black leggings, and silver Nike runners. So she could have cut off her foot to escape trouble, wouldn't have been able to do the question, says Miss Jess. Which is why someone's amputate. I don't know how that goes. Yeah, I don't know. Look, as I said, when I did the thing for the news article, we had people saying she was still alive. We had someone say that she was murdered. We had someone said that she wasn't alive. So essentially nobody knows. So again, this again, it's like, everything's been taken out. So they've all redacted. As I said, everything's redacted. So they've put in somebody now to oversee all the financials. So the husband's not able to spend any money without it being approved first. I also feel there was another Christopher Skase. It could possibly be. Where did he end up? In Spain, didn't he? Didn't he end up in Spain? I think her husband knows. Oh, yeah, well, anyway. So remember, she's missing now. So there we're got an interlocutory process here. So we've got our nice little cover sheet. So they've got to change everything because of the fact she's now not here. So they've accepted the affidavit and she could have. I don't know. I don't know how much the husband knows. I don't know. I mean, that's an unknown, isn't it? I've not seen anything. So then there was an order on the 27th of November. Let's have a look at this one. So a lawyer. So they've what they did was they appointed a lawyer to act on behalf of, as a power of attorney for Melissa. So she's now appearing for there. And then there's a case management. So that's how they've done it. Recall those feet in shoes that washed up in beaches. They think animals' bodies, but feet. Oh, wow. Possibly, yeah. But didn't they also say it was a bit of a... So the last order that was filed was on the 22nd of February. Stole millions of investors. Oh, no, I didn't know anything about that. All right. So, redacted affidavit of Adam. I don't know who this is. Defendant. No, I couldn't either, that Amber chick. I couldn't do it either. This one's 53 pages long. So here's a management consultant. All right, so it looks like this guy is going to talk about, I think they can tell if a foot has been touched by arm. So this looks like this is all he's responsible for the, oh, that's right. So he's done the finances and he's talking about living expenses because there was something about the fact that they had to allow for so much living expenses. I remember that because the husband needed to pay the son's school fees. So let's have a look. So here's the brother and the attorney under the name of the enduring power of attorney, the first defendant. So So he makes this affidavit in relation to the honours of the orders where the assets had to be preserved. So he wants to vary the asset preservation orders to access the funds for ordinary living expenses of the first defendant's household and dependents and for legal expenses. So, all right. So now he's talking about, this is a bit about going through all the stuff. Okay, so since this matter was last before the court, he's obtained legal advice, instructed solicitors, done that, his emails. So at the time of swearing this affidavit, so this is the brother of Melissa Caddick. I do not have access to the books or records of a first defendant which I require to review, calculate, and substantiate the ordinary living expenses. My sister, the first defendant, remains missing and has not been in contact with her family, and the need to access first defendant's funds for living expenses and legal expenses. So I refer to the asset preservation order, and in particular to Order 11C, which provides that Order 10 shall not prevent the first defendant from paying ordinary living expenses not exceeding $800 per week. And then he's talking about the fact that here he has, lots of people have come. Foul play. Oh, wow, yes. Play Nana Kimber. Does anyone else listen to my swear? Everyone, I have to go to scenes. No, I don't know. I don't know what's happened to Tamara. Just don't understand how people. Okay. So he says I was able to invoice, so between the 20th to 23rd November, he was given access by police to the iPhone. During that limited time, review some of the invoices for insurance and utilities. Also had discussions with the husband and living expenses. So a property in which the husband and the son live in, and a property in which the parents live, where her parents live. So that's interesting. So he's saying that based on his limited review, they need more than $800 a week to live. And so what they're talking about is here they need food and groceries, utilities, medical and dental, school fees, insurance, transport, loan repayments, and then the second property that they own, what they need, loan repayments, body corporate fees, and day-to-day live expenses. That the Melissa Caddick was paying a monthly payment to cover their living expenses. So Interesting, isn't it? So he says he's been able to, the schedule indicates that the living expenses are $64,836 for a 3-month period from the 10th of November to 10th of February, or $21,612 per calendar month. $21,000 a month. It was. So I'm informed, I believe most of the underlying documents and information which support the living expenses were removed from the property. They were on the MacBook. So he's asking for the MacBook. He needs I know. Oh, sorry, Michelle. That's really sad. Okay, so he's talking about he's not aware of any other assets. He's also not aware of our property in the US. There are lots of secrets, yes. So so there's some money, I'm informed and believe that so some other stuff. So yeah, so he's talking about the asset preservation order and that he's got lawyers involved, and then he's putting together all the list of legal costs as well. So how much? So he needs legal fees for that. So he's saying that he needs, so far, up until the 15th of December, $66,000 was needed for legal fees. So and so then he's asking, so what he's asking is for some of the stuff back so that he can actually have a review of all of it. So again, as I said, it needs to be signed by the person signing it and a witness, which is usually a solicitor. And then all the exhibits. So this, they've done an exhibit list. And again, so this is a power of attorney. So they've put a lawyer in as a power of attorney to make decisions for her because she's not here. Well, she did make a power of attorney. Look at this. So in 2016, she put in place an enduring power of attorney. According to this. I don't know. I don't know anything. Like, it's been, yeah. All right. So that's her brother. This is the husband now. He's a hairdresser. According to this. So now he's saying he's the husband, the first defendant. So he's asking for more money. He wants the books. They want the books. You know, my mods are pretty good. They try. So yeah, it says he's a hairdresser here, people. Everyone's asking what he does. He's a hairdresser. Okay, so because he was saying, I was last employed on a part-time basis as a hairdresser until COVID-19 lockdown commenced in or about late March 2020. At that time, the first defendant, who was the primary breadwinner in our family, and I had a discussion, agreed that in order to reduce the health risks to the family, I would cease working and remain at home. And attend to household duties, childcare, facilitating school appointments. I do not earn an income at this point in time. You have a couple of theories, wind whispers. Yeah. So he says, my living expenses and that the household are paid by the first defendant. I have no assets. I have one bank account. That bank account has a balance of $1.95. There is a property in Aspen, Colorado in the US that our family visit from time to time. I believe it's owned by the first defendant. I do not know its details of its ownership. I believe that the property does not generate income and it is not tenanted when it is not used by the first defendant. I'm the sole director and shareholder of a company, Paws Off Productions. This company does not derive any income. I'm concerned that if immediate living expenses are not paid, the son will not be able to return to his current school and commence year 10. Insurance security will not be maintained. So, and that's from the husband. Now, interestingly enough, there was another, that's the bank account, that's he's put all his, this is it, they've redacted all of that. All right. So, look, I try and say hello to everybody as well. All right. So then there was an order on the 8th of December, 2020. So let's have a look. What do you say? So he said, you appoint a receiver and a manager of the property, provisional liquidator. First defendant's application to vary the orders made on 10th of November to be listed for hearing. So again, there's a whole lot of dates. Look at this. Look, all written submissions must be easily legible using a font size of at least 12 points and 1.5 line spacing throughout, including footnotes and annexures. That's how they're set out, people. Do you have much experience with the federal courts? Oh, that was a Justice Farrell. So we're up to 10th of December now. So this is in relation to urgent ex parte orders. Oh, look, we've got footnotes. They're not sassy, though. So now we've got law. We've got law being cited. So this is how law is cited in Australia. Look, we've even got colours. Colours. They don't use line paper. They've got to use 12 points, 1.5 spacing at least 12 fonts. But yes, that's the ruling for how it would be lined up. They do look way better, Poppy. They do look, can I say, Australian legal filings look way better than Americans. They do. That was one of the things that I found. It was it's a lot easier to read. Don't believe me. Yeah. Okay, so this is their legal argument. Hello, Jessica. This is 14 pages. So this is an urgent No, we don't have 45-line paper. They're much better. They look pretty too. Our filings. Yeah, well, that's right. I have to agree that, Amber Chick. All right. So this is where they're going to quote the law. Find someone in every state. Oh, we've got to let you in first, Rick. Also, these format restrictions are giving me uni assignment trauma memories. Yeah. All right. So this is an application by the Australian Securities and Investments Commissions for under the Corporations Act, Federal Court of Australia, for making interim asset preservation orders against each of the defendants, interim orders preventing the first defendant from leaving Australia, and for delivery of passports, and orders for the provision of certain information from each of the defendants as to their financial circumstances. ASIC relies upon an affidavit by ASIC investigator Ms. Isabella Lucy Allen, affirmed on the 9th of November. Ms. Allen's affidavit evidence is extensive and very detailed. It is indicative of a serious misconduct on the part of the defendants and the very real possibility that there have been a number of contraventions of the Act and other laws in connection with the misappropriation of consumer funds of the Act and other laws. A large number of documents are exhibited to Ms. Allen's affidavit in support of the findings and conclusions contained in Ms. Allen's affidavit. Exhibit 1A1 comprises of a lever arch folder of documents ASIC has obtained in the course of the investigation. Exhibits 1A2 and 1A3 comprise 3 lever arch folders of bank statements and other statements ASIC has obtained in the course of the investigation. And they quote Ms. Allen's affidavit at 6 to 8 and the exhibits. Additionally, on the basis of the matters set out in the second affidavit of Ms. Isabella Lucy Allen, Isabella Lucy Allen, ASIC also seeks interim non-disclosure suppression orders. These matters are briefly addressed in behalf of these submissions. So, as I said, where things are suppressed, we can't access them. But everything that we're able to access under the public interest is here. The application is brought on an urgent ex parte basis without notice to defendants because ASIC is concerned if defendants are advised of ASIC's investigation, there may be further appropriation and dissipation of Australia's consumer funds by defendants. Jean said she may not make it. She had the COVID injection and she wasn't sure how she was going to. She didn't want to say that she would be here if she wasn't going to be here. So the relief sought, so preservation orders, the interim orders reflect the above relief say that ASIC is not seeking orders for the appointment of a receiver as part of its interim orders. Question, aren't lever arch folders those giant stack of documents? I don't think I've got a lever arch folder. So lever arch, like it's a big folder. I don't have one. I used to. Oh, wait on. Actually, believe it or not. Here, I've got one right here. Lever arch. Would you believe? This is court documents. This is a lever arch folder. This is actually court documents. Lever arch folder. So, lever arch folder of documents. And don't ask me, what am I doing with the lever arch folder of documents? That's another story for another day and another very interesting case. That had me followed and tracked and ran. Yeah, that's another case. But yes. So when they talk about lever arch documents, that's what the lever arch, so a lever arch file is. That's a lot of documents though. 3 of those for bank statements. So the application before the court is under 1323 of the Act. Preconditions for making an order under the section are satisfied when. So we've got ASIC versus Kerry, which they're quoting, an investigation is being carried out under ASIC Act or the Act in relation to an act or admission that constitutes or may constitutes contravention of the Act. There's an application made by ASIC or an aggrieved person for one or more of the orders that may be made under the section. Those preconditions are satisfied in the case. There's an investigation being carried out in relation to a number of suspected contraventions of the Act and the relevant application made by ASIC. Upon the application by ASIC, the court can make the orders for which the section provides where. So we've got another footnote. Kerry is obviously a very important case for company law because it's quoted here a lot. There is a relevant person who is or who may be liable to pay money, whether in respect of a debt or by way of damages or compensation, or otherwise to account for financial products or other property. The liability is to another person called the aggrieved party. The court considers it's necessary or desirable to make orders for the purpose of protecting the interests of the aggrieved person. Section 1323 contemplates the making of orders in circumstances including where, as here, we've got 5. See below submission, para 29. An investigation is being carried out, that is to say, they can be made before liability is established and indeed before evidence necessary to establish liability has been collected, if it is necessary and desirable to do so to protect the interests of an aggrieved person. Moreover, there is no requirement on the part of ASIC to demonstrate a prima facie case of liability on the part of the relevant person or that the person's assets have been about to be dissipated. Dissipated. Not what I was saying. I'm really messing up my words the last 2 nights. So the following extract is French Day's judgment, ASIC versus Kerry, and at instructive, underlined and added. So they've added the underlining where they want it to be taken note. So I'm only going to read the underlined bit here. The orders are made in circumstances when an investigation is being carried out, a prosecution has begun, or a civil proceeding has begun. That is to say, the orders can be made before liability is established and indeed before evidence necessary to establish liability has been collected. At this stage, an order is sought. The court may not be in a position to identify with precision any particular liability. Yeah, I know. Owed by the person, the subject of the proposed order. This consideration applies to final orders made under the section as well as the interim orders for which expressly. And well, Jessica, I'm finding that the Australian courts generally use less complicated words. So then there's more law here. More law here. So this is all their argument. So it's like it even says here, hearsay evidence may be therefore be received and acted upon not as proof of truth of the content, but as evidence of existence of a risk or possibility that gives rise to necessary for or desirability of a protective order. So we've got here, the case provides that orders in the nature of freezing orders can be made once the court is satisfied that is necessary. So again, we're talking about freezing the assets, More case law. That the court can make ancillary orders. I'm sorry, I'm just going through these really quickly, just so that we sort of get an idea. Then we've got the background. So they're saying here that on the 8th of September 2020 that they started the investigation. And that it dated back to from the 6th of May 2009. So they've talked about the fact that they were looking at registers, documents, bank account analysis. Yeah, and then what the findings were. I'm finding this a lot easier than the American stuff. So then it's talking about what they found, so that the company was providing unlicensed financial services. Oh, that's all right. You can talk whatever you like, Michelle. That it was using a financial service license without authorization to represent consumers that it was providing legal services. So it was using a false license, that they were representing themselves to be, that they opened trading accounts, that they would invest consumer funds, that profits are generated, and then they're remunerated by a small fee, an annual fee of 0.75. So when in fact, so this is what they found, okay? Consumer monies are commingled in bank accounts held in the name of Ms. Caddick and Melissa are not transferred to trading accounts. Of the monies deposited by consumer, not all ultimately invested in shares. In excess of 0.75% is being used for Ms. Caddick's own benefit or benefit of other persons, including to make mortgage repayments, payments to other consumers, to purchase jewellery, and luxury goods from brands including Canturi, Christian Dior, and Chanel. She provided falsified documents to investors, purported to be from ComSec and Link Market Services, detailing account numbers which do not in fact exist, and transactions that did not occur. You're so kind, thank goodness of this being. Yeah, no, that's right. You can go and talk about whatever you like. All right. Of the funds that were invested, little profit was generated. On the basis of their inquiries with ComSec and SEA registries, they believe that Ms. Caddick did not, in fact, open ComSec accounts in the name of these people. Given ComSec held no records or accounts open in the names of and with details matching, so they didn't have the Link Market Services, computer share, or boardroom documents, so they were their share market things. Corner is great, okay. No, you don't have to be in the corner. So they weren't given to the registries, so there weren't any documents. So then they said that assets analysis of the bank accounts indicate that funds paid by consumers into the Melissa account were mingled with the company and personal accounts. Analysis of the Melissa NAB primary accounts suggests that 36% through consumers deposited in excess of $3.9 million into the NAB account between January 2018 and 30th of June 2020. During that time, $691,275.49 was transferred to an Amex account in the name of Caddick, $50,000 into a loan account into the name of Caddick in respect to a property in Edgecliff, and further amounts were transferred to other accounts in the name of Caddick. The Caddick Amex account and Caddick Qantas accounts were used to purchase luxury travel and goods. Consumer funds were used for purposes unrelated to investments, such as purchase of luxury goods and payment of Caddick's personal expenses. Wow, hey? On the basis of the review, the documentation provided to consumers, and the trading history, it sounds concerned that Ms. Caddick may have sent similarly falsified documentation to other consumers as to mislead them as to true position concerning the money they invested. They've not been able to identify other consumers on the basis of information obtained from the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, indicating that Ms. Caddick holds an Australian passport with an expiry date of 23rd of May 2028, together with information from the Australian border showing that Ms. Caddick travelled overseas 25 times between 26th of August 2009 and 6th of October 2020, together with the fact that Ms. Caddick holds a US account, dollar account, is concerned that Ms. Caddick has the capacity and means to travel overseas at short notice. This was to occur, it would have serious impact on the efficiency of the investigations. That orders sought under assets are necessary or desirable to protect the interests of current or future consumers. Wow. What do you reckon about that? $6 million were paid into the account. I'm going to drop in and out. The kids are doing all in the yeah, bro. Well, that's okay. That's fine, Jessica. All right. At this stage, to be that evidence sufficient to wait to justify making interim orders? Jane asks this. Well, possibly. They know of 17. They know of 17 accounts, but there could be more. And then suppression orders. So they're talking about suppression orders. So they want to make sure also suppression orders. So make sure that there's no prejudice. Second, to protect. So they want suppression orders to protect the identity of the people who have invested. They want suppression orders in the name of potential investors. And then that's what they want the court to do. Well, from my understanding, she did steal from her parents. So this is under Justice Farrell. So he has to retain capacity legal reserve. So it looks like he has in addition to the orders, so he's given some new orders. Occupations of witnesses who spoke to so it's until further notice, publication or disclosure of the following is prohibited. So this is who stole what from who. My understanding is that she invested some of her parents' money. So this is everything that can't be talked about. The occupations of witnesses, the details, personal details of first defendants, details of the first defendant's brother and son. So all of that stuff. So that's all the stuff that we can't access because it's all suppressed, which is I agree with. All right. So that's why we can't, and that's why it's all redacted. But see, look at all this stuff. We've still got heaps to go. All right. So we've got stuff from the liquidators. We've got stuff from the receivers. We've got stuff from everybody. So this one is the liquidator. I don't know if they think an investor knows something. So this is the liquidators here, and how much the liquidators are going to charge, the rates of the liquidators. So these are the people. So what they've done is they've put the business into receivership, the company into receivership. So they've been appointed by the court and to act as provisional liquidators of the company. They're stating that they're not aware of any conflict of interest. See, they've got to do a conflict of interest check. So they're not aware of any conflict of interest. And then they've said, here are the rates. And so they've submitted the rates so that the court knows what the hourly rates are for whoever does it. Appropriate skills using machine usage for a junior typist. Okay, so that's for the receivers. Oh no, that's for the liquidators. Then we've got the receivers, which is the same company. I'd love to see profile people do things. They're part of the thrill. It would be, wouldn't it? So this is the same. So that same company is doing the receivers and the liquidators. So again, we are aware that have a relationship with the preceding 24 months with Melissa Caddick or any former trustee or receiver of the property. He will tell you, Christoph Van always, that he lost, but he had fun. And as I said to him, that was the main thing. But no, he did. But I sent him all the messages that everybody got. So we've got some more submissions from ASIC here. So what are we up to? We're up to the 12th, the 11th of the 12th. So we're up to December. We're nearly up to here. So this one's 17 pages. So again, this is to amend. This is to leave to amend the originating process. So they want to appoint a receiver and a liquidator. You can't make heads or tails of all the legal terms? All right. So they're talking about the commencement. They started on the 10th of November. So that the second defendant's been served at its office with all the court documents, including the orders made on the 10th of December. It is anticipated the second defendant will continue to be unrepresented, so the company doesn't have a representation. So then they're talking about all the affidavits that's going to be relied upon. It's repeating. Yeah, I'm trying to interpret it as much as I can. So I'm having a quick, and I'm not necessarily reading everything. I'm just trying to summarize what it says. So they're talking about here that this paragraph 6, talks about that the affidavit evidence is very detailed. A large number of documents are exhibited to support the findings. So also address the first defendant's application to vary freezing orders. So remember, they want more money. So they're going to, they're actually going to restate what they're doing. So they start, like, they're just re-summarizing. As soon as I hear one word, another word comes up, I get lost very easily. I'm sorry, Wind Whispers. I can try and slow down a little bit for you. So on the 8th of September, ASIC commenced their investigation. Lots of breaches of the Act. To me, it's like listening to KJ rant. Oops. As part of the investigation, they made a lot of examinations. So again, this is a repeat of what all their findings. Again, what they found. Then they've said the first defendant has disappeared and is being treated as a missing person by police. Secondly, defendants have not complied with court orders made on 10th of November to provide disclosure affidavits in respect to assets and liabilities. The defendant's brother is her attorney, named under enduring power of attorney, and is seeking to represent the first defendant in these proceedings, including appointing legal representation. However, Mr. Grimley himself appears to have no knowledge of the allegations made by ASIC, and it can and should be inferred that he will not be able to assist the plaintiffs with its investigation, nor is he able to provide the disclosure affidavits. So the brother of the defendant, the one that's missing, is her attorney named under an enduring power of attorney. So he wants to represent her. And they're saying, well, he doesn't know what's going on. Fourthly, the company is unrepresented. And it says, and it can and should be inferred from the disappearance of the first defendant, its sole director and shareholder, that there is a vacuum at the helm of the second defendant company and nobody is managing its affairs. Melissa stole a whole bunch of money from the businessman, liquidated, yes. She disappeared. She disappeared between the warrant being issued for seizure, so they went and seized a whole pile of stuff, and a court appearance. She didn't turn up for the first court appearance. So they're saying a large number of additional consumers who have claimed to invest with the defendants have contacted ASIC and provided information and documents which show that these investors have invested approximately $13.1 million with the defendants, and the majority have not received any funds to date. Sixthly, on 11th of November, a search warrant was executed at the defendant's first defendant's premises in Dover, during which physical and electronic documents and other items, including jewelry, watches, designer label clothing, accessories and footwear, yes, Miss Jess, was seized. The documents seized reveal that there might be further property, including valuable assets in Sydney and the United States. Well, because at that point, Wind Whispers, they didn't know the foot had been washed up. So, yeah, he's a hairdresser. No, the husband's a hairdresser. The brother's an attorney. Low ballistic. Because then they wouldn't get paid a bunch of cash. That's right. I think they want $60,000 for legal fees. If they said that straight out, Wind Whispers. Okay, so they've obtained information from various financial institutions which show that as of 7th December 2020, there was approximately $4 million in various bank accounts held by the defendants. Persons who claim to be dependents of the first defendant, namely her husband and son, are seeking to vary the freezing orders so their alleged reasonable living rates can be provided for. This being a matter that could be more practically managed by a receiver. Yes, Belinda. He is her power of attorney, enduring power of attorney. As we've learnt. In light of the foregoing and on assumption that leave to amend the originating application is granted, these submissions now turn to consideration of the applications to appoint receivers and provisional liquidators to the property of the first and second defendants respectively. So this is why they're saying that the husband, the son and the parents could lose their homes because the companies in that, because of the receivers and liquidators, they may have to sell the properties to get the money back. So where do they go? ASIC seeks an order for the appointment of receivers to the property. No, I know that, Belinda. There is ample authority for the appointment of interim receivers when, as here, asset freezing orders are in place. The circumstances where a receiver and manager may be appointed include where potential active claimants are being protected from incompetence, breach, or trust or fraud. So again, we've got lots of case law here. So what they're saying, yeah, arguing case law here. So what they're trying to say is that they're saying that the receivers and the liquidators can decide how much the family needs to live off. So the first defendant has disappeared without providing a disclosure affidavit, and it appears nobody else on the part of the defendants is able to assist ASIC in identifying all the assets of the first defendant in circumstances where there may be further valuable assets owned by the first defendant. And the ongoing reasonable living expenses of the first defendant's dependents will need to be considered and managed, having regard to available funds and competing interests of investors, which is something that the receiver is best positioned to do. So ASIC's arguing that rather than the family saying we need this much to survive, that a receiver and liquidator are in the best position because they can look at what's available, and then they can have that they're in the best place to look at what's needed. It is all a mess, isn't it? So the appointment of receivers and the position of the report to the court will provide court and investors with an independent assessment of the identity, value, and location of all assets. It is respectfully submitted that it is necessary and desirable for the purpose of protecting interests of investors that receivers be appointed in accordance with the proposed orders. So ASIC's going, yes, the liquidators and receivers will go through all the mess, work out what money is available, how much is owed to the investors, and then try and work out the best way to do it, because they're going to be removed from the situation where the defendant's brother may not have that position. There may be a bias. So this is what ASIC's arguing in this document. That's my understanding of reading this document. As far as I know, and I haven't seen anything other than to say that they could do it. I haven't read anything to say that's happened. So again, so they're also wanting to set up a liquidator for the business as well. So they want to put somebody in charge of both the business and the personal assets. And again, more court law. And so their argument is the fact that she's disappeared and nobody else can answer any of their questions. They have to have somebody else come in and sort it all out. Hello, Nikki. Hello, sweetie. All right. So, and they're going to wind up the company. Yeah. They want to try and work it all out. Sounds like the Granati case. True. In relation to, namely whether there is an urgency or sufficient reason for the appointment of a provisional liquidator in public interest, the relevant circumstances include the financial position of the company. They need an examination of the accounts, whether the affairs of the company have been conducted casually with due regard to legal obligations, so that the court has no confidence that the affairs of the company are being carried out on for the benefit of the shareholders or the investors. So remember that she is the sole shareholder of the company. So again, they need to make sure that the interests of the investors are also taken care of. In this case, the defendants have not provided any information as to the financial position of the second defendants, that's the company, nor have they answered the matters raised in ASIC's affidavit as to suspected contraventions. So this alone raises a matter of suspicion that it may be public interest to put in a provisional liquidator, and that the liquidator will determine whether it needs to be wound up. And then here's their response to the proposed variation of freezing order. I just thought there was as noted above, persons who claim to be dependents of the first defendant, namely her husband or son, are seeking to vary the freezing orders so that the alleged ordinary living expenses can be provided for. To that end, the first defendant has served proposed orders, which, among other things, essentially seek to vary the freezing orders made on the 10th of November 2020, so as to increase the first defendant's allowance for ordinary living expenses from $800 per week, as ordered by Justice Jagger on the 10th of November, to an amount of $20,922 per month, commencing from the 10th of November. This translates an increase from $800 a week to a staggering $4,880 a week. ASIC's position is that any variation to Justice Jaggett's freezing order is a matter more properly and practically addressed by the receivers. This is contemplated by the proposed orders. If the court is against ASIC's primary position and instead wishes to engage at this time with the question of what ordinary living expenses ought to be allowed, the following matters ought to be considered. There is an element of speculation as to the claimed living expenses sought, which Mr. Gramley has based on only a limited review of the first defendant's book and records and is subject to variation. The evidence suggests that the living expenses of the first defendants and her dependents have been and will continue to be paid out of investor funds. That's a good point. And in circumstances, the court ought to careful to ensure that any allowance that the dependents are allowed to receive would not significantly undermine the purpose of protecting the affected assets for the balance of the period for which the restrictions are in place. The evidence suggests that the first defendant and her dependents have been used to a very high standard of living, and the court will need to be careful to strike the right balance between protecting the interest in investors and the standing of living that the dependents ought to now enjoy. It is respectfully submitted that, having regard to this balance of exercise, not all the expenses claimed ought to be allowed. What do you reckon? So then that's the proposed orders there to have receivers in. And so they're stating that the receivers need to find out needs to work out what an appropriate allowance should be, because otherwise, I mean, that is a good point from ASIC that at this stage, sounds like having money like this would be a complete pain. I know I don't want to be rich, eh? So they're saying that to maintain that lifestyle, it's going to have to come out of investor funds, and so the investors are going to miss out. So let's put this one. Oh, so this is a letter. So we act on behalf of 13 former clients so now we've got who represent a total investment of approximately $5.3 million. So we refer so again, this is signed. Yeah, no. You want that problem, that amber chick? So we do not have access to the asset protection order variation application. So they are saying that Yeah, so they're writing in it to, they've written to say that they want independent people to look at it. Clients have instructed us to advise you that they are each hardworking Australians who invested their life and retirement savings with Malabar and are deeply distressed by the revelation that Miss Caddick has gone missing and their significant hard-earned savings cannot presently be accounted for. Some of our clients are at or very near retirement. If their lifetime savings cannot be accounted for and recovered, the impact on their lives will be immediate, substantial, and life-changing. We are instructed to consent to you to provide a copy of this letter for the court to support your application. So that's in support of the application. Hello, Nikki. I don't buy for washing up nowhere, yeah. So anyway, that's that one. Another affidavit. So we're still up to December. We're still up to December at the moment. So this is another filing. This is another. It looks like it's an affidavit of service. So what happens is, so he's a licensed field agent. So he's stating, oh, they didn't take the stuff out. So again, he delivered all the stuff. He served the documentation to wherever it needed to go. So he was in Queensland. Oh, it's interesting. The head office for that company is in Queensland. That's right. They're in Queensland, aren't they? No, she's in Sydney. All right. So here's another one. So we're still at the 14th of December. So remember, this is going on now. She's been missing. And so another investigator. So this is an affidavit of another investigator. Office of Enforcement. So he posted documents. So again, it was the affidavit. And so they've even put the track in there that it was delivered. So this is proof that the documents were delivered. I wonder whether it's a mail service for 2 people, sweet tea. Dad and son. All right, see you, Kim. All right. So again, we've got another document, and again, we've got redacted stuff. So this is... So again, they're putting in orders asking the first of 2... It's the same stuff about the fact she's got to deliver her passport to leave in the court and the appointment of a liquidator. So they're the draft orders. All right. Now we've got another affidavit. So as I said, there's stuff here that's been redacted. So we have to just... Another affidavit. So as I said, that has to be all. This cover sheet has to be on everything. And because it's an affidavit, it's got to be signed in 2 places. It has to have 2 signatures on every page. So I am a partner of the solicitors for Adam Grimley, who is the attorney for the first defendant acting under an enduring power of attorney granted by the first defendant on the 15th of September 2016. And I have care and conduct of this proceeding on the behalf of the representative. So that's interesting that she's got an enduring power of attorney, and that even though she's missing, she's still got a representative with her. Hey, Phyllis. And yet the company doesn't have any representation, which is interesting. So this is his affidavit. All right, so this is about the legal costs. So this is an affidavit to say that the legal costs, the estimated amount of legal costs referred into of the representative affidavit. I am informed by Mr. Grimley in relation to the estimate of paragraph 23 does not include the costs that have been incurred and may incur in relation to the work. So saying that, what he's saying is the lawyers need more money. That the costs are going to, that the amount that the brothers said that they needed for attorney fees, they're going to need more. So that's that one. So up to 15th of December. Hey, Laura. See you, Laura. All right. So they report, so here we go. So the court orders. Until further order, they've got receivers in. So they're joint receivers and liquidators. So they're going to identify and collect and secure the property of the first defendant, approve or make payments from the property of the first defendant, ascertain the amount of money received from the first defendant from funds paid to the second defendant by investors, identify any investment funds, ascertain whether any money was paid directly to the first investment by investors, so they also, by the 15th of February 2021, they're going to provide the court a report for the assets of liabilities, the opinion of solvency, the amount of investment funds, the costs to appoint receivers shall be capped at $70,000. And then they've got provisional liquidators. So they're going to find out what all the money is. All of that. The likely return to creditors. That's going to be interesting. Any contravenes. I haven't seen anything here to say whether. Oh, and the liquidators and receivers are going to get unredacted copies of everything. So the suppression orders are in place. I didn't see anything about whether they were going to do anything about the money for the living expenses. First defendants, second defendants. I was under the impression that they were having to do the, that the husband had to speak to the receivers to get. Okay, this is interesting. This is Mr. Grimley's submission in his representative capacity of the first defendant. Okay. So it says, Mr. Grimley is the brother of the first defendant. The first defendant has been missing since 5:30 a.m. on the 12th of November 2020. And it is, I think it's the 15th of December now, aren't we? Up to the 16th of December. She's not been in contact with family since that time. Is the first defendant's attorney under the enduring power of attorney. With the attorney to make decisions to financial, personal and health matters. He's also the whatever. The husband and kidney to get used to living there unless the husband can prove. Well, that's right. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So ASIC have become aware of an issue regarding the validity of the EPOA. Did not tick the box identified in which the witness in. Okay, what was that one? Has no prior knowledge of the allegations made by ASIC in these proceedings. As representative of the first defendants, interests in the applications are as follows: to seek reasonable variations to the current asset preservation orders, including to pay for legal expenses incurred to date and he estimates will be incurred on behalf of the first defendant until at least February 2021, and to enable the ordinary living expenses of the first defendant's household and dependents to be paid until further order of the court. To obtain copies of or access to the books and records seized by ASIC, to enable Mr. Grimley to verify the living expenses required by the first defendant's dependents, and to take further legal advice to ensure that material outside of the search warrant is returned to him, and to ensure that any order sought by ASIC to appoint a receiver over the property of the first defendant is framed in a reasonable and proportionate manner. So now these are what he would like. So they're still wanting $800. They want that variation to change from $800 a week. So it says from the first $66,000 in legal costs incurred to December 15, 2020, and a further $50,000 which may be incurred to February 2021. Mr. Grimley has instructed his lawyers to carry out various tasks in representative capacity since the first defendant's disappearance. If so, Mr. will make further submissions at the hearing. So it talks about the dependents again. And he anticipates living expenses for its first defendant's dependents to be $20,922 per calendar month for the period from the 10th of November 2020 until further order of the court. This does not include the mortgage payment. This estimate does include food in groceries, school fees, insurances, medical expenses, the utilities, and the running costs of a property owned by the first defendant at another location. So the order who might have claims is not to punish persons with whom no position findings have been made one way or another. The jurisdiction to grant a freezing order is not exercisable simply to preclude a party from dealing with its assets or to prevent it from using its assets to meet ordinary living expenses. It is directed to depositions intended to frustrate a plaintiff's attempt to seek remedy at law. So the other kid needs nothing, then as the other. So that's a brother. So it's only the husband and the brother. Sorry, it's the husband and the son. So, but there's two houses they're talking about. So now he's quoting law again. So he's saying, while the amount claimed by the first defendant should be assessed based on the circumstances, the amount being claimed is not significantly different to amounts which have been ordered in other cases. Yeah, dependents. Oh, yeah. Well, because the husband's class is a dependent because he wasn't working at the time. $17,000 per month was ordered in one case. $250,000 was permitted for legal expenses in the Deputy Commissioner of Taxation versus Bollards. Mr. Grimley's proposed variation order also permits a process whereby ASIC is to nominate an account which Mr. Grimley may withdraw the funds for the purpose of the order. So, and he wants his orders and he wants his legal and accounting representatives to have a look at all the stuff that's been seized. And he neither consents nor opposes to the appointment of a receiver. What? However, he considers that the court will need to be persuaded by ASIC that the appointment of a receiver is necessary in light of the existing asset preservation orders. It's interesting. So he doesn't oppose, but he is indifferent. It threw me here because it says submissions lodged by Melissa Caddick. Oh my God. This is 17th of December. My heart. So we've got Markovic. So let's have a look. So they still have the receivers to pay legal expenses referred to in the schedule, and any further legal to pay the ordinary living expenses and further ordinary to be incurred by which the receivers satisfied ought to be paid, subject to any court application, to pay any other expenses that they reasonably incur in the execution of their functions. By 22 December 2020, the first defendant by her representative is to advise the plaintiff in writing of specific categories of record the first defendant that he seeks copies of and are currently held by the plaintiff regarding living expenses of the first defendant or the welfare of the first defendant's son. And upon the plaintiff being authorised to provide the documents referred to in the order, the plaintiff is to provide those documents to the first defendant through her representative as soon as practical by no later than 19th of January. So there's some dates now set in here. So again, we've got suppression orders. So here we go, scheduled to order. So they're still not allowed to sell anything. Any defendants from paying incurring costs reasonably incurred from these proceedings. So they're going to do the $66,000 in legal fees by the looks of it. So they've said the receivers from making payments in respect to ordinary living expenses of the first defendant of $1,700 per week, or such other amounts as receiver approve upon being satisfied they are reasonably and properly incurred in the respect of ordinary living expenses from 11 November 2020 until the order of the court. The receivers dealing with or disposing first defendant's property in the discharge of obligations. So they may, So they're going to pay trade creditors. And so, yeah. Well, he wants to leave, but requires a lot of money to maintain. Yeah. Sweet. Interesting, isn't it? So they're getting $1,700 a week, which is still quite a bit of money, I guess. Grandparents. Grandparents were living in the house, I understand, being paid for by the daughter. So we've got another affidavit. So now we're up to 19th of February. There's been nothing happened for a while. This is 17 pages. All right, so that's all the legal stuff. So she's been missing on the 19th of February 2021. They've looked for she advised me she searched for the search took her to the following URL. ASIC has assisted with all the inquiries. So this is the progress of where they're at. So this was the 21st of February. Since the 7th of December 2020, ASIC has taken a number of steps to progress its investigation into the conduct of the first and second defendants. ASIC, among other things, has provided unredacted copies of the affidavit filed by plaintiff in this proceedings to the receivers and provisional liquidators. Review documents seizing pursuant to search warrant on the 19th of January, provided documents regarding the living expenses of the first defendant or the welfare of the first defendant's son to the first defendant's representative. Liaised with receivers and provided copies of requested books and records of the first defendant that relate to the first defendant's financial records or matters subject to the receiver's report to the court due on the 15th of February. Liaised with provisional liquidators and provided copies of requested books. Facilitated valuations of property seized. Liaised with investors and reviewed documents. Examined the affidavits. Well, they examined, conducted voluntary interviews with a large number of investors, commenced taking witness statements, liaised with the New South Wales Police. On February 1, 2020, solicitors for the receiver sent a letter to the first defendants stating that there remained only a very small amount in which represented a cash balance and which our clients have requested to be paid to our clients with the intention of living expenses. So they got the report on the 15th of February. So the report is still considering the need to amend its originating application to seek orders as to final relief. So that's the missing person report. There, that's so it's just. And the letter from all right, so we're nearly up to date. We've nearly read it. We've nearly gone through everything. Okay, and so on the 22nd of February, 2021, there was another order filed. It just seems like we're going around and around in circles, isn't it? So they're not going to give the report. So there is prohibited other than to the Mr. Grimley and for those that have invested money. Okay. Is by the 23rd of February 2021, the plaintiff is to file complete copies of receiver's report. Until further notice, the publication or disclosure of the receiver's report and provisional liquidator's report is prohibited other than to these people. And then all of this stuff has to be redacted, essentially. So by 1st of March 2020, the receivers of the first defendant are to file any application to have receivership remuneration and expenses approved and paid out of property of the receivership. Such application will be made returnable for a hearing on 7th of April 2021 at 10:15. So looks like there's going to be a hearing. There's a hearing listed, for the 7th of April. So by the 1st of April, the plaintiff is to file and serve an electronic copybook of the court book containing material and to provide the judge with an unredacted electric copy of the court book. And the parties are to file and serve their opening submission, in each case limited to 10 pages in length by midday the 6th of April 2021. And then those orders were served on the 23rd of February. So that's where we are. So there you go. That's, well, let's have a look. Let's see, because there's nothing being put into court as to what the it's all just speculation. So this is one. I'll show you one report here. Anyway, the father-in-law believes that she's alive and in hiding. Let's have a look at this one. So let's have lots of this. Oh, okay. You don't think he's a lawyer, Belinda? Okay. All right then, that's fine. It was just on one of his affidavits. I thought that's what I read. I may have read it wrong. I apologize if I read it wrong. Yeah. So this is what this one says. So this is dated, what's this one? The March the 10th. Father-in-law is not convinced she's dead. It says it's severed, so she could still be alive, saying discovery of the Sydney woman's severed foot doesn't prove her death.
Detectives investigating the disappearance of missing Sydney businesswoman Melissa Caddick believe she could have been alive for weeks or even longer after she went missing in November. The Daily Telegraph reports police have serious doubts her foot could have drifted as far as the New South Wales south coast before it was found just over a week ago. They believe the remains appear to be in too good a condition to have been in the water for 3 months. DNA testing is underway on further remains found 150 kilometres away on Friday night.
There you go. The father-in-law is not convinced she's dead, saying she could still be alive and in hiding. There are too many unanswered questions. How much of the foot was in the shoe? How was it severed from the rest of the body? Why did the forensic scientist say that the shoe did not appear
Police
to be...
divers are hoping conditions in Sydney will be...
deteriorated if it had been in the sea since November. Alive or dead, suicide or murder, who knows? The proof will eventually come out. Mr. Coletti is not the only person who thinks Miss Caddick could be alive, with an international aquatic forensics expert saying a key detail in her shoe suggests that she was alive well after she disappeared. So this Murdoch University expert said the shoe would have barnacles and marine growth on it within 2 weeks of being in the water. She said if the shoe had been in the water since November, when she disappeared, the lack of barnacles was odd. Here's the shoe. Sorry, guys. There was only 1 foot. But if a shoe was underwater, protected perhaps in a plastic bag or submerged in a car, there is less chance of barnacles. Another professor said you can survive without your foot. So Police Commissioner Mike Fuller entertained the theory that Miss Caddick could still be alive. There's a chance she cut off her foot and is still alive, though it's pretty fanciful. He was satisfied. Well, Mr. Fuller said he was satisfied Miss Caddick is dead. The case remains wide open. There are 68 victims of fraud. We're trying to recover funds and the investigation continues. So, yeah. Yeah, so, and then they haven't ruled out foul play. So there you go. So that's... The bones that they found were dog bones. They weren't human bones. They were animal bones. So there you go. That is all the court documents related to that case, and we're still none the wiser. Yeah. So there's, as I said, there's people that people say she's alive, people say she's dead. I don't know. I really don't know. It's the latest. So the latest article says that the husband's been out since for the first time since... I don't think I can access that because I got... Yeah, see, they want me to pay. I'm not going to pay. It says Caddick's husband spotted for the first time since her foot washed up on the beach last month. So he's been in hiding. So that's the last article that appears. Many people. Jessica says she has trouble going to great lengths to fake her death. Don't know. It's very interesting. It's one of those very interesting things, hey? It could go either way, yeah. No, if it's a foot, she said if it was a head. if it was her, maybe no. Well, that, I guess, yeah, as I said, there's lots of different speculation at the moment. So I just wish I hadn't, yeah. So April 7th is the next court date. So I'll be keeping my eye on that for you all to see what happens. She could remove her fault, but how is she going to get the infected or she goes septic without medical care? Good point, Belinda. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, no, I did get a haircut today. It was getting too out of control. So there you go. So that's those court documents, and definitely very, very interesting. Oh, thank you. All right. So on that note, I'm going to leave you all. I'm going to go I'm going to say goodbye. So I'll be back tomorrow. We've had a KJ free night. Yay! Deliberately. And because there was lots of stuff that I couldn't share today. There was a lot of stuff that I would say was not friendly stuff today. So yeah, that didn't make any sense. It was very triggering stuff that was shared today, and I wasn't going to share it. I couldn't share it. I haven't even read a lot of it. Yes, I will tell him he did a great job. It was a good day for sure. Yes, thank you, Poppy. See you, everybody. I'll give you a few minutes to say goodnight to everybody before I actually close off, because it was Jean that pointed out that I log off too quickly. So I'll let you all say goodnight, and then I'll say goodbye. Goodbye, 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 my friends. And now it's time to go. Sad when washed up feet are better than KJ. Correct there, Miss Jess. Cool, thank you. All right. Well, I have no doubt that we'll be back tomorrow with KJ stuff. Hopefully, maybe. All right. I'm glad it was very interesting. I do find that the language of this, as I said, the Australian courts is a lot easier to understand than the US stuff, but maybe it might be because I'm Australian. I don't know. I tried to skip through a lot of the jargon. All right. I'm going to leave in 10 seconds. Say your goodbyes. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Good night, good night, good night. Oh, I do have a music thing to upload too, because I had my I had an assessment today that was done, so I'll be posting that up later as well.